celebrity I wouldn't want to meet on the grid walk?
Yep.
That's the question. It's like you haven't thought about it yet, man.
Gonna be like, just get out of my way, bodyguards. Kevin Spacey.
I think you're a little old for him, mate.
Okay, I don't need any explanation. We're leaving that.
Keep this in.
Before we do anything else, I owe some people an apology. My name is Ollie. I'm one of the 4 idiots
I accept.
referred to in the name of this show, and I need you to know, before this episode begins properly, that I went on record last week and predicted, specifically and with full confidence, that Kimi Antonelli would not finish in the top 10 of the Miami Grand Prix. He won the race. Yeah, Tay's giggling. I also predicted that Pierre Gasly would be my biggest surprise of the weekend.
Are you surprised?
Finishing 4th. He didn't even complete.
He rolled.
So, yeah, with that firmly established, welcome back to Idiots of F1, ladies and gentlemen. For those new here, the premise is this. 4 people who love Formula One far more than they understand it, trying to make sense of a sport that increasingly can't make sense of itself for an audience that could almost certainly find better qualified coverage and keeps choosing not to. We're not here because we have the answers. We're here because the conversation is better than the silence. The wrong predictions are funnier than the right ones. And somewhere in the middle of the chaos, you usually leave knowing something you didn't know when you arrived. Whether that something is accurate is slightly more dependent on the week. As mentioned in my opening self-deprecation, I'm Ollie, and joining me tonight, and this is the part I want you to appreciate, is the first genuinely complete, no last-minute cancellations, no finishing an album, full house. A quick hello to you, Ev and Tay. Just get you two over and done with again.
Thanks.
So, yep. That's all right. You'll get your turn. No, Ev, yeah. And now Digby, the man whose return I have been promising our listeners for many episodes, whose album I still have somehow not been sent a copy of, and who I fully expect to have the most opinions about a race he watched from his sofa. Welcome back, mate.
Good to be back. Good to have some time to come back.
Some time to come back. Yep. If I wanted my comeback, I would ask your mum. Hey, we are 7 episodes in, everyone. Yeah. 7 episodes since the gang was last all together. Digby was in theatre, then Tay had a thing, then Digby was recording. And in the meantime, Ev and I sat here doing this without sometimes the 2 people who would have had the most to say about all of it. It's fine. We're fine. You're fine. It's fine, right? It's all fine. Everything's fine. And the shape of tonight is also fine. Review episode. So we have no race this weekend. I'm sorry, F1 fans around the world. Yet again, we are staring down the barrel of no race.
I don't know why you're apologizing.
After the 5-week break leading into Miami last weekend, we have another few weeks off before Canada, which means the rear view review gets the full run tonight. We've got P1 to P10, everything that happened, everything that was chaotic, and the complete and public settling of a prediction scorecard. After that, we've got Hush, you've been paying attention, the quiz, 8 questions on Miami F1 history and Miami culture. Going into tonight, Ev still leads on 5. Digby, you are now in last place officially because Tay, last week's winner, is on 2. Following what was actually quite an emphatic. It was a good demolition of Ev. You destroyed him last week. That said, I'm not sure if that's as much a compliment to Tay as it is a blight on you, Evan. But look, we're then going to close with what's Verstappenin. 4 stories from this week that have nothing to do with where anyone finished and everything to do with the fact that this sport is somehow incapable of being boring off track, even when it occasionally manages it on it. But first, we have our icebreakers. As always, Digby, as our returning guest, you, sir, are going to go first. So your icebreaker tonight, you've been invited to the Miami GP after party. Everyone's there. Celebrities, officials, drivers and their partners. One driver is a DJ. One is kicked out by security. One disappears mysteriously. Who are they and why?
This is like a Hitman level.
So the DJ was Pierre Gasly.
Okay. French.
I think French. Yeah, David Guetta.
He looks like the type of guy.
For trash music.
He dresses like Norris. Norris isn't DJing. Norris is like the guy standing in front of the DJ.
Dancing inappropriately with his shirt half off.
Oh, I love this song. Don't you love this song? Who's that?
Putting his hands through the hair.
Don't you hate it when they allow women in here? Yeah. You might have to bleep that. You might have to.
Anyway.
Great movie.
So, I think he'd have some great F1 suitable DJ after party tracks. I think he'd be great.
Yeah. Okay.
And you wouldn't And like, is everybody having a cute time? I don't know if that's French, but he'd have that cool French.
What was that?
I don't know what that was.
Anyway, and then the person getting kicked out would naturally be fucking. And this is a coincidence that it happened to be him doing this week. Liam Lawson would be the one getting kicked out. Getting so drunk and just like, I'm Liam Lawson. You know who I am? I'm Liam Lawson. Yeah, you should. Yeah, that's what
manager.
That's Liam
manager
Lawson
would be like, Liam, I've told you not to wear your wife beater out in public.
Yeah, my other option could have been Lance, but Stroll ain't getting kicked out because Lawrence probably owns the club, and he'd be walking around going, "My dad owns this club. I know."
Yeah,
it's better.
Okay, all right, very good. Tay, you've got one night in Miami with an unlimited budget, but real life consequences like jail. Which driver are you taking out, and what are you doing?
So, not Norris.
Danny Rick, coke and strippers.
Female strippers?
So that one I can't do. It's like
of
you
course.
said, just
I mean,
be
you can, but
honest
like, you know, you're not going to do that.
No, Miami's nuts. Miami's nuts. I could do it something else. I can say something else, but
that's fine. I'll put that out in public if that's what. I mean, this is the other thing. These shows go out there. It's
known to be a fiend for coke and strippers out in Miami. I'll tell you right.
Yep. Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Someone's got to know what a strip club looks like.
You've been swapped in for Martin Brundle in the pre-race grid walk, live in front of millions of people. You've got no script. You've got no clarity of what's going to go down and when. Who's the one celebrity you're praying you don't run into and have to interview, and why?
Ryan Reynolds.
I don't give a fuck about Wrexham, mate. Shut up.
Yeah, and if they're just talking to him about football.
Oh, yeah. Like, do you know I'm on a podcast about F1 and all I do is talk about football?
Must be nice to have all that money to make any team.
I'm you.
So a celebrity I wouldn't want to meet on the grid walk.
Yeah.
That's the question. It's like you haven't thought about it yet, man.
I'm going to be like, it's getting out of my way, bodyguards. Kevin Spacey.
I think you're a little old for him, mate.
Okay. I don't need any explanation. We're leaving that. We're leaving that. Fuck, I thought Nig's answer was pushing the boundaries, and then Tay came over the top, and then here is Evan, ladies and gentlemen. With all that said and done,
at least it wasn't Bill Crosby.
Just fucking get on.
Who's Bill Crosby?
Get on with it. All right.
Cosby.
It's time for
Bing
Miami.
Crosby or Bill Cosby?
Bill Crosby.
Cosby.
What did you say, Bill Crosby?
Oh, Bill Cosby. I love your Christmas album that's sold more than Thriller or whatever it was.
Right, it's time for the Miami Rearview Review. Before we get into results, there's something that happened over the weekend that I think we need to address because it's funny, and not funny in a good way for certain people. So, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, the FIA president, he's a big fan of the show. He's a big fan of Evan, and affectionately known as MBS for those that are close to him. So we will refer to him as MBS.
Along with Shumi.
Gents, the man who has spent the last several months, and more specifically the last few weeks pre-Miami, doing press conference after press conference after article after interview about how the 2026 regs are working, how the cars are improving, how incredible the racing is, how the regulation update process was, quote, extremely collaborative, and how the future of F1 is bright, baby. Well, with all of that in mind, all that MBS aura farming, before the race had even started on Sunday, whilst in attendance at Miami, he came out and he announced that V8 engines with minimal electrification are coming back to F1. That noise, according to MBS, is coming back in a few years, gents. He's quoted as saying they are definitely coming back, and verbatim that in 2031, FIA will have the power to do it without any votes from the power unit manufacturers. It will be done. So I did some deeper diving, and the main arguments that have since surfaced for the switch. First up, lower costs. So he's arguing that the current V6 hybrids have R&D costs that approach something like £200 million, and it's too expensive. No shit. Reduced weight and noise. He believes the V8s will make the cars lighter and produce better sound, obviously, for the fans, and address the complaints about the current hybrid area. And the other two were reduced complexity. So everybody's aware that with these new 50-50, I guess, engines and regulations, there's been a lot of complication. The drivers complain about how technical and challenging it is. The fans do. But yeah, apparently that a big part of this would be having minimal electrical power, which means that it's not such a complex engine. And lastly, sustainability, which the irony of it all, but the V8s are intended to run on 100% sustainable fuels. So ultimately, he's all but come out and said, hey, we fucked up, not just this year, but many years ago when we thought electric rather than sustainable combustion was the future. Gents, the FIA and the F1 have been spinning the 2026 and season to date as a success story. They've been deleting comments. They've been censoring drivers, allegedly, and they've avoided talking about what many people are calling the worst state of F1 on record. I've got a few questions for you all to jump in on. First one is for you, Diggs. But why the fuck would MBS announce this now, given they've literally just only days ago announced that they've spent all their time convincing everyone that the sport doesn't need wholesale changes, but small nudges to maximize the value of these new regs and the racing it locks? Does this not just undermine the entire new generation of F1 that A, we have to eat now, but also eat for the next 3-4 years?
I was going to, it's funny that you asked me that, because while you were saying this, I was going to ask you that. So I thought,
Jinx.
Why would someone say this as soon as the new negative regulations have come in? Would it be to stop the diehards from 2014 era walking away and dangling that, oh, no, we're bringing it back.
The golden carrot.
We're actually going to bring it back. I'm actually going to bring V8s back in 5 or 6 years. So if you stick around, you'll get that. There is no way that anything that's been decided now is definite in 5 years' time.
Okay.
That would be my.
I want to see it signed and in writing.
No, what I'm saying, yeah, it's like if that's what you're going to do, just do it now. What are they waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Well, has he? I guess is that not the point? Has he not announced that they are coming back? And now everyone for the new regs.
Hey guys, you know what? Back to V8s.
They wouldn't be out. But, I mean, all right, so let me throw to Ev then, because you. Okay,
sorry.
So
let's
Ev,
be more realistic. Why not next year?
Okay, but why announce it now? Do you know what I mean?
Like,
people walking
he hasn't
away.
announced it in the sense that it's gonna.
That's what I mean. Like, if you're announcing it now,
it's a thrrawaway
what other
comment.
reason would you have?
Do you reckon? You think this is all just a publicity play from him?
Well, I'm not saying it definitely is, but why, if you're so keen to get it back, why are you waiting 5 years to bring it back?
Well, I'm going to throw to Ev to that, because my answer would be the assumption that it's because they need to invest in the R&D, right? And are sustainable fuels there yet? Not sure. Don't answer that just yet, Ev. I want to come back to...
So you're saying they just haven't got it to
they
the
haven't
level
got the
where
time.
There's probably a few pieces there.
It's like
right.
it's taken
That's why
them
I'm
4
asking the
years.
question.
Yeah. They've taken like 4 years for the current regulations, to be researched, developed, tested, and then to the point where they're race ready. But again, I'll throw it to Ev in a second.
A fucking treat.
But so I hear your point, Diggs, about this idea that look, let's just dangle the carrot and keep the hardcore fans settled. But I mean, somebody will do the work. I suspect that the hardcore fans will always watch F1, like the old Test cricket fans hated 2020, but now they're the ones that watch most of it because it's more cricket. By all accounts, by at least from research I have seen, is there's massive overlap.
Purely anecdotal.
Yeah. So I don't. I'm not saying that's wrong, though. By the way,
no. But I found 2020 made me more interested in Test cricket because it made 50.
Yeah, it goes the other way
50
too.
over redundant. But now I really want to spend.
Do you know
my
what?
time
None of
watching.
us are watching though, Diggs. Formula
F1.
E.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm going to say something else. Then
Ev,
glad I didn't jump in.
You've been around the longest, and ironically, we talk about you like you're not in the room when you are one of those long-standing hardcore F1 fans. I don't think there has been an episode for 4 years where you haven't somehow managed to bring back the V8s. So, if anything, you've been consistent. But look, Digby made a really interesting point there. It's so much to unpack here, but firstly, I don't think it's a media carrot, Diggs, because if they were going to do that, they would have waited until things got really bad, not until immediately after they've just told everyone these regs are great and we've made changes. But anyways, maybe he's just rogue. But yeah, Ev, is this actually going to happen? Or is MBS just so desperate to be seen as the hero of F1 and that 2030 is fucking years away that anything could happen by then? Has anything like this happened before?
No.
No.
The FIA like any sort of, I guess, administration or any sort of referee, they always think that they're above reproach, that you're not allowed to criticize them, not allowed to criticize the referee, even when the referee clearly gets things wrong.
You're not even allowed to talk to them in football anymore. They'll card you. If you tell them to show a card.
I like that rule because like it's good sports rule. It's like rugby
well,
union.
It should be
only
the
captain
gets to talk to the referee.
True,
you don't need
touching
like,
should
randoms.
be off limits.
Yeah.
Oh man, imagine if that's what happened to the F1. They all ran up to MBS and
beat the shit out of MBS.
Yeah, so all of this is very suspicious. So they want to cut down on. They want it to be cost effective, right?
Yeah.
So they've got this incredibly complicated power unit.
Yeah.
With
which
batteries.
Clearly costs a fortune.
And then all of those 747s and the private jets.
And they'll still be there with V8s.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but like, something happened. I was at the race this weekend where both cars, one car was attacking another. I think it was Charles versus Kimi early on, and they both had their wings open.
Yep.
So what happened was they made bigger cars which couldn't race, so then they had to invent DRS to make it easy to overtake instead of making the cars easy to drive.
Yep.
And then under the auspice of being green, they've gone to V6 turbos, and then they've gone to V6 turbo hybrids.
Yes.
And now we've gone to a less hybrid turbo V6. And not once has the racing been better. The racing was really good between Lewis and Max that one year.
That was
21.
And that was
fun.
That was at the end of a long regulation.
Of a 5-year development, like regulation, wasn't it?
Because all the teams, all the developers will congeal around like a single point.
Yeah. They all get the hang of it eventually.
Yeah. And so what he's saying, I don't know why it is he doesn't have the power and why he thinks he's going to have the power.
Well, he doesn't think he's
this unilaterally.
That's what he's suggesting. And he's out there saying this publicly, right? Like there has to be truth to it.
He talks a lot of shit. Yeah, and his position is he gets voted in. So his position's a political one as much as
he's locked in now they just had the vote.
Yes, well, nobody stood against him for the second time in a row.
Yeah.
2 people dropped out.
Yes. Why would they
Susie
drop out?
Wolf being one, wasn't she?
She was getting bandied about, but I don't think she seriously put her hand up. So Carlos Sainz Sr. did seriously put his hand up.
Well, just Ev, going back to the original point, like when you heard this news, you're telling me that maybe it's a subconscious bias towards the fact that you just don't like anything this bloke says. But are you not one part of you got excited or believed it?
No, I don't believe it.
Okay.
I think it can happen. I don't think it's going to happen because of MBS.
What he's saying,
Yeah.
Okay.
So the teams got together at the start of the season.
I thought they voted against it.
They did. The manufacturers. So
vetoed.
Honda, Mercedes, Red Bull, because
Audi.
they can barely put together one engine, let alone develop a V8, for example.
Yeah.
They're just
think now with
they're
Ford,
not there yet. Ferrari could do it. Ferrari have got, by all accounts, one of the best V8s in
they'll probably
commercial
just bring
cars.
that back out.
Well, it has to run with sustainable fuel,
and then
doesn't it?
Cadillac, which for the American market, they still buy V8s in
They would love V8s, yeah.
So Cadillac would be for
Aston Martin, you can imagine. Did you say Aston Martin binned off their electric car from a consumer perspective?
They did. They don't make their own engines at any rate. They buy Mercedes.
Okay, all right.
I think it would be awesome, but like then you start thinking about it, going, "Why the fuck did he just say that?" And as to your point,
I don't.
They've literally just brought it out. Like, is it a case where he knows that even the new regs are going to not be good enough?
I mean, it doesn't.
Like,
it doesn't.
When I say the changes to the regs, I should say the updates.
Ev said in an episode weeks and weeks ago that the message is often not what somebody said, but what somebody hasn't said.
Yeah.
And I just
don't think that was Ev.
How compelling!
No, it was. It actually, weirdly enough, it was. He must have been
to the notes they're not playing.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll tell you what makes this even better timing. So what followed that announcement on Sunday was actually a race that a lot of people are calling the most entertaining Grand Prix Miami has ever hosted. Possibly the best race of 26. Now, we haven't had a lot of races, but it's fair to say that it certainly felt like an exciting and a chaotic race, which means MBS told us the future was going to be great right before accidentally producing something pretty great and present. But before we get on to the results and the key headlines, from all of you, was that the best Miami race you've seen? And was it the best race of 2026? Yes or no, and why? Diggs, let's start with you. You look like you're pensive there.
Yeah. So yes and yes. Great. I enjoyed the racing. It's
That's good. I like it. It makes sense.
Style of which they have to race these tracks has changed, which is interesting. But it feels, based on what the drivers are saying, feels a little like AI. So if Ev was to give us a song today and go, listen to this awesome song, or Ollie was like, listen to this awesome song.
I would be dumb enough not to know
Ollie,
it's
AI. No, but you go, look at this awesome song that Ev wrote. And Ev goes, well, I mean, yeah, it's my song, but I didn't really write it. I just put some stuff into Suno. That's what this feels like. The drivers are coming out going, yeah, I mean, the racing's fun, but we're not really driving. So I feel it feels a little hollow, which is what I was kind of getting at weeks ago. I didn't use AI as an analogy, but I was like, it is fun. I am enjoying it. I enjoy AI music until I know that the human element isn't there, and it takes away a lot of the enjoyment, because it was like, well, the human error is what we're here for. The human instinct.
That's right.
No, people had that for synthesizer music when that got invented.
How?
Well, because the big cultural backlash at well, it's a synthesizer, it's not a real instrument.
Right. I'm sure people had that same argument when sheet music was overtaken by vinyl, and they're like, well, it's not really someone playing the music in the room, is it? But it is. It's just being
I don't know what they're
replicated.
arguing about, Tay.
Anyway, what I'm saying is the human is still controlling the creation of the battle. AI music, putting words into AI and giving music thrown back.
Well, you know what I'm going to do after this episode? I'm going to make an AI song and become a Spotify superstar. But okay, it's such a valid point. And Diggs, you obviously missed last week's episode, but we had a good giggle about what happens when racing becomes AI. And Tay and Ev had both very different examples of things that have been done previously. And Ev, was it your example that highlighted that within 3 laps they'd all crashed into each other and gone fucking AWOL?
Yes. Just spinning. But I mean, they do that with horse racing. You can watch automated horse racing at the TAB, like it's all computer generated. And then you're watching it going, well, how do I know that that's really, how do I know that it's just not like...
Do you know what, Diggs? You've tapped into probably not, I don't think a lot of people would be able to articulate it, but I think why everybody loves F1, regardless of the noise that's coming out, is the fact that there is room for error, that there is room for mistakes, and they can be fundamental mistakes. That sort of jeopardy that you can be George Russell and have the best car on the grid, and we're going to get to him shortly, and still fuck up and finish well behind everyone else. Like that's the type of room for human error that can change an outcome.
You just made me think of something, right? This is why people want to love someone like Lewis Hamilton so much. They don't want it to be the car that's the reason that he won 7 World Championships. They want it to be, and people want the driver to be responsible for any win, loss,
That's
overtake.
A great point.
So as soon as it feels like they're not in control, it's like, nah,
Is this why you all hate Lando so much?
No, there's other reasons.
But it's cool. Like, I think it's important for the F1 to maintain that balance between car creation and driver.
That's why F2 is so great, because all of the cars are identical. You are relying solely on driver skill and strategy.
Yeah, but it also loses that enjoyment that the car creation isn't there. So it's clear that that's what people want. I mean, look,
that's a great point.
Guys, will give me a call. Happy to give this analysis when.
Yeah. Let's get him on, the new Ant. Actually, you can replace other people on there after the weekend.
Can you imagine?
Keep Ant's the best.
I wouldn't even be able to. I wouldn't be able to work his little fucking TV.
I'd be messaging you during live broadcast.
Yeah.
I'd be messaging and bombarding you.
Tay's like, what does the black and white flag mean?
Is Naomi single?
Hey, Ev, did you like the race?
Yeah, I did.
Mind you, for all those new listeners, that's Ev's like excited voice.
Yeah,
if I asked him without saying anything, I said, what would you rank it? He'd probably say 9 out of 10, and we'd all laugh because we'd be like, your response really highlighted it.
What I didn't like,
enthusiasm was just
there was one thing
out of
that stuck out to me that I really didn't like, which was, I think like lap 5 or 10, early on, it was Charles versus Kimi. And I think Lando was in 3rd, and Lando's engineer came on and said something like, don't worry about them up front. Let them yo-yo, and then and then we'll go. Yeah. And then the very next lap, that happened. And I'm like, that's really bad. You can't
it's what Diggs is just talking about, the predictability of it, right? And the lack of human input in those moments. But put that aside, it was definitely the best Miami race ever, right? I almost said rice again.
Yeah, with the threat of rain, that's always going to spice things up.
Yeah, I've got a point about that in a
the
second.
The radio messages were fairly entertaining this week as well.
There seem to be more of them, Diggs. Now, I've thrown out a conspiracy theory previously that there has seemed to have been less radio airtime from drivers.
I noticed a lot more this week.
Yeah. Tay, your first home race of the year?
Funny enough, I feel like I got a different experience to the broadcast than you guys, even though camera-wise, it's all the same footage.
Oh, you're not listening to Sky Sports?
No, I don't get it anymore.
Oh, I thought they did. I thought they gave you that option in Apple TV.
No, it's just the F1 TV guys. And don't get me wrong, I don't actually mind them. They're pretty good. It's a nice change, but they're not the same.
Was it just me, or were there just not that many people at the race this year? Or is it just the design of the track? You can't see.
I think they changed the design.
They were all in the VIP paddock area.
Yeah, I just watched.
No, I agree, Diggs. I had that exact same thought. There's a corner where they come out of, and you're like, "There's no one there."
There's no one there. I know it's a car parking thing or whatever, but
yeah, it's a good point. I don't know where they've got all their grandstands are pretty limited there. And I think obviously it's probably more people in the Hospo VIP areas watching on TV than standing out over the rails.
What was super interesting
I got an email about the Monaco VIP. Do you want to know how much a weekend in a VIP box at Monaco costs?
Stay there?
Are we talking Aussie dollars?
Tickets. No, euro. It's in euro. I don't know why I got this email.
I reckon it's between...
And I could tell you the Sunday is almost exactly the same price as the 3-day one.
So the price the Sunday price, I'd say 16,000 euros for a VIP in Monaco.
No, it's less than that VIP.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'll go then.
Okay,
the
10
VIP
to 15.
Garden. No, it's €4,500. So it's 10,000 last Australian.
Not horrible.
No, it's not horrible. And the weekend is not much more expensive than the actual Sunday.
Yeah, but mind you, to stay in Monaco would be like fucking 10 grand a night.
Yes. And obviously you go to the casino and lose all your money and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, they're choices.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Are they? They were choices.
So last week we discussed
everywhere, mate.
Great length about whether the changes to the regs would make a difference, but I think it's fair to say they did, or I don't know, who the fuck knows. But in summing it all up,
it felt similar to the other races to me.
Yeah. But before we move on to the results of the race, a small but relevant footnote to the weekend. If you've touched on it, in fact, actually each of you have mentioned it, the race we watched on Sunday was not the race that was originally scheduled. So the Miami Grand Prix got pushed back by 3 hours because of some big weather. Brought forward. Yeah, and looking back at Spa a few years ago, you guys actually might recall that we waited for the rain. They ended up actually red flagging the entire race, which obviously has massive implications for driver standings, but also the poor fans and viewers that had spent their money and time waiting. But in hindsight, fair enough. Was this the right call, or were you guys like me and desperately actually hoping for the rain? And albeit it felt like it was a very chaotic race, I wanted rain because I wanted pure chaos. But yeah, did it bother you guys at all? Or
no, I think I'd rather that than have no race or like 5 minutes of racing. Or like I hate especially if we have to stay up late. And it's a red flag for 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, particularly
that Spa thing. Fuck that Spa thing. Like
that shit. Yeah.
For me, it was more like I was accustomed to being able to watch the race in the afternoon. Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, being on the same time, not same time zone, but at least closer to the Miami time zone. So I was a bit disappointed because then I wasn't able to actually watch it live. So that, for me, it was like sucky.
Yeah, I think it has big implications for going one way or the other, doesn't it? But
for sure.
I mean, it's tough.
Imagine not getting that text. You spent all that money to go there, and you didn't
it's
get
like, yes,
you
all right,
didn't
let's
check
all
your
get in
email.
the car and we're on our way.
If you flew in on the day,
well, no traffic,
and you land at like 1 p.m. thinking the race is on at 4, and you're like, I'm going to miss the race because my flight's just land. Anyways, whatever. Hey, look, that's enough pre-race chat. Let's get into actually what happened, and we're going to start with the winner. Sorry, what was that, Diggs? Did I just hear you say, boy, did I get him wrong? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Kimi Antonelli for the 3rd consecutive race.
No, I did not say that.
There you go. So look, just to frame what we're now dealing with.
That's the hill you're dying on.
Yeah, he. I don't think you die on it. We'll talk about.
He will 100%
some
die.
Questions.
Well, look. This is what we're now dealing with, right? We've got a 19-year-old who has now started 3 races from pole. He's won all 3 of them. He's the first to ever do that, mind you. He now leads the championship by 20 points over his teammate, George Russell. Within the Aussie betting markets, he's now the championship favourite. For those that will recall from our first episode, we noted that Polymarket had Russell as the favourite at like 34%. Likelihood to win, and no one else was even close at the time. And I'm talking like, I don't think any driver, maybe Lando and Max were at like 12, 13%, but no one else was in double digits. And now they've got Kimi. They've got Kimi at 31%, and George is still their favourite apparently. As I said, we're going to get into George in a second, but before we do, any of you genuinely deep down thinking Kimi is now the favourite to win?
I don't know. This is why I have questions, because going into Miami, I genuinely thought he was probably going to win. I don't know. It's like, so I was basing it all on the qualies. And when he won qualies, I was like, okay, well, then he'll win the rest. Because I don't understand why George is suddenly so much slower. And I know it's not so much slower in qualies, but in the race, it's not like, oh, wow, Kimi streaks ahead, and then there's George. Oh, and Kimi streaks ahead, and it's George. It's like Kimi won, and George is competing for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever. So why is there this massive disparity between the two? It can't just be because Kimi's a better driver. Like, there must be more to it.
Diggs, this is a race with a safety car, and Kimi still finished 27 seconds ahead of George.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, this is... Is it bad luck because George is back in the pack? It's fucking him up a bit, and he can't handle racing.
I think we all agree that being out in front is where you want to be, right? Like, to that point, I don't think it's as bad as it's historically been in the last couple of years.
How is George just not getting turbulence? Like, George isn't a bad driver.
Tay, what were you going to say?
It's probably the same memo that Piastri got through the fight with Norris and him.
Yeah. Toto.
No, I generally think. I think it obviously costs the cars so much more being more in the pack. Okay. And so constantly battling, obviously the button's called boost, but you're also using that not only as offensive, but you're defending, and just watching the race and how quickly, like, the battery's drained so quickly doing shit all.
You guys want to know a fucking wild fact about those battery graphics on the broadcast?
They're fake?
They're not real. They're estimates. They're estimates.
That's crazy. Yeah. So it's not even real time stuff. They just have I guess.
Yeah. There have to be more to it that is like educated guesses.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes,
okay,
they are
we
not
say
connected
that
to the
is a
actual
big
cars.
negative for these car regs, is that unless you're out front, you just once that person gets out in front, it's kind of like game over.
But I think to Tay's point, that's always been the reg. Like, it doesn't matter what regs. Like, well, you remember last year. Last year, in the ground effect year, it was even fucking worse. They'd be gone
like
after
Lewis
a lap.
and fucking Max.
Not so much Lewis, but you go back the generation before.
The previous gen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But definitely Max was fucking yonkers.
Do you know, I was going to say later, but I'll throw it in here now. So this doesn't answer your question, Digby, but Ev, you might have some more detail on it. So Mercedes were, if not the only manufacturer that did not bring upgrades to this race, whereas everyone else did. And we're going to talk about the fact that these other manufacturers seem to get some big gains. And so, Diggs, if both Kimi and George had been shit this weekend, I would have been like, maybe that's the reason. But Kimi didn't seem to struggle without any genuine big... Apparently, and I say this, Ev, because my understanding is that Mercedes have got big upgrade coming for next race.
Yeah, they brought some small ones, which weren't really worth much.
Yeah, obviously.
For example,
Kimi.
They've copied Ferrari's. Ferrari has a little like gurney flap on the exhaust port that I can't put it on the camera. It's like that.
Williams did that as well.
Yeah. So Mercedes have done that, even though their architecture is completely different to Ferrari. So,
is there anything else that was going on with George's car or George over the weekend?
Said in an interview afterwards that he spent the last 20 laps. I can't remember when the safety car was, but he spent the last 20 laps by his estimate just driving around and changing settings to see what, if anything, would work.
Okay.
Guys, you got to tell me I had the wrong stat setting.
What was that? What was that? So when that happened, Ev was like, "Oh, it's even his fault," and he's blaming everyone else. Yeah. What is he actually trying to convey? Are they supposed to tell him what strat set to put it on, or I think, did they do it remotely? And
they should. No, they don't do it remotely.
Was he just being a little bitch?
Someone should have. Someone should have reminded him and said, safety cars coming in, revert to strat 1 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Instead of whatever strategy he was in was for fuel saving and all of that during the safety car. So he wasn't reminded and he forgot, and therefore he blamed his
But he's
team.
so much about details for everyone else.
It's like her husband or wife at home. Why don't you remind me to take the bins out? So
Yeah,
your
exactly.
job, mate. Your job.
One thing to say about George was that he never performs well at tracks that are very new and smooth. So the tarmac itself is very smooth. It hasn't been...
Yeah, even Toto claimed
Spacey.
that Miami is not George's track.
Yeah. So whereas old school tracks like Silverstone, like Canada...
Like proper tracks, not street.
Yeah,
good
he's
tracks.
a lot better at.
Well, do you know what fixes that, mate? Get in the fucking
better
simulator,
racer.
George. Get in the
Change your
simulator, mate.
fucking track.
Change your fucking simulation.
Change your fucking driving style.
Yeah, just in terms of quickly rounding out his race, he finished in 4th. Obviously, Antonelli continues to star for Mercedes. You can't question that. They've got the best car in the field by miles, right? But obviously, Russell is on a pretty unfortunate run of form. So, yeah, we've alluded to it there, but he was like 0.5 seconds a lap slower than Antonelli. He was behind him all weekend. He has acknowledged that he's never been able to get comfortable on the track with Miami, which Ev's kind of touched on there. And as I said, Toto's echoed that. He has now failed to make the podium in 2 successive races with a car that was obviously evidently quick enough to win the Grand Prix. It's to be judged as a bad weekend for George. They've got upgrades coming, which is obviously really exciting for Mercedes. And you think, fuck, how much better can Kimi go? But, gents, if you're George, and granted there's a bit to, I guess, reassert his authority as the lead driver, are you biting time and not panicking yet? Or are you sitting back going, are you biting time?
Biding.
Biting time. Are you biding time?
Biting.
You said biting.
You did. No, you said biting with a T.
Oh, okay. Are you biding your time and not panicking yet?
No, I'm not panicking yet, if that's what you're saying. I'm definitely not panicking just yet.
I think he's suffering performance anxiety.
No, I feel like he's already kind of panicking. Like the strat.
Yeah, I think he's panicking. Have you seen his reactions to everything about Kimi just post-race and sprint? And
there was anything bad this weekend, was there? I didn't see anything from George that alluded to... In fact, actually, I saw the opposite where he was like, Kimi raced a blinder. He did excellent. No, I didn't see a lot of
Mine's
jealous
based on
George
just
this
that
weekend.
strat. Yeah, that strat setting is the only thing I'm basing my panicking on.
Yeah, it's what he doesn't say.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. You're an idiot. Better listen to what George is not saying into the interview.
All right, well, look, let's get back to the podium. In second, in a state that I think can only be described as barely contained fury, was Lando Norris. So on paper, Lando had a great weekend. Yeah, he won the sprint. He finished second in the race. He's collected a stack of points. McLaren are since back in the conversation, or at least getting more and more involved in the conversation, because Oscar had a pretty damn good race in Japan a couple of weeks ago. Things seem really good, except Norris doesn't think everything's fine. Norris believes, with some justification, if you're willing to leave your bias at the door, that the pit call that brought him in, when it did, actually handed Antonelli the win. There was suggestion from Norris that the McLaren could have covered off the resulting undercut by bringing him earlier. And if you were to rewind that strategic decision and bring him in earlier, that it was their race to win. So he said it on the radio, he said it afterwards. He's been pretty clear about it. I'll come to in a second, gents, but we'll just cover off Piastri because, we'll do the double up on McLaren. So, he came in third. He got another podium. He's second in 2 races because you got to remember he didn't race the first 2 races, with a third spot. Now, he didn't have a perfect sprint, albeit he did grab second, and his race qualifying was also not great. Finished 7th in quali, which made the race a challenge for him, but he was exceptional in the Grand Prix. Particularly, I think it was Ev, you touched on it already, the final stint where he and Leclerc were fighting for the final podium position in a battle that had genuine quality to it. So P2 and P3 for them, all off the back of a season that I think everybody was pretty worried about. Diggs, how good is it for the F1 for resulting race quality to have teams like McLaren back up in the front and willing and capable of fighting?
I think it's required for the F1 season to be exciting. I mean, these days, F1's starting to feel a little like Survivor. Every week, everyone's like, oh, look, this guy's out. Like, they've got no... And then, suddenly, this week we're all saying how Kimi's it. He's the guy. He's got it. 3 weeks' time, we might have Lando ahead of him. You just... you just don't know at the moment, especially with these new regs. Every driver seems to be performing differently on a different track as the cars are, and just, you know, the updates are making such a big difference. So I don't think anyone can sit here and go, this is definitely where the season's headed, which is awesome, which is why we want to tune in, because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Ev Tay, I mean, is it fair to say that this is a rebirth for McLaren, and get excited about it, or is it too early to make the call? Is there just too much unknowns in this season that there's no point getting on any train at the moment except for maybe a Merc one?
I didn't necessarily think that McLaren was out of the running just, obviously due to the start, because again, we're so early in. So like for me to think that they're being rebirthed, I don't necessarily think they were ever not already in contention. I think it's just taken teams some time, and all teams are different in getting to that point where it's like, finally we have a car that's actually quite competitive.
Yes, way too early. I think we're victims of, our modern discourse where everybody is an expert within seconds, and every race, it's like,
what are you saying?
Oh, season's over. Season's over after the first race of the season. Oh, that guy's going to be the champion. Yeah, that's very frustrating.
All right. Well, it's just because we're all used to the generation that you followed where one driver's always going to win. But
yeah.
Hey, in fifth spot was Red Bull's Max Verstappen. And for me, this was actually the result of the weekend. Granted, he did qualify second. I think it's fair to say that if it wasn't for that first lap and he ended up spinning, he probably could have been up there fighting to maybe, I don't know, maybe he couldn't have gotten close to win the race. Definitely a podium. Their upgrades appeared to be working, at least for Max. After 3 races of watching him trapped behind cars that he had no answer for, he drove exactly the kind of race that made people forget, maybe briefly, that he's been threatening to retire every other week. Unfortunately, his teammate, Isak Hadjar, had an awful weekend. Very quickly, the number 2 driver pressure seems to have been turned up on him. But with a potentially resurgent Red Bull, a resurrected McLaren, mixed in with a Ferrari that on its day seems to be able to match it with a Merc, once we're through this next awkward few weeks breaks and I guess we get on with the regular week-by-week racing, where are your guys' excitement levels for the rest of the season? So I think we can almost get to a point where we can stop talking about the regs. Because, hey, we've got V8s coming. But, jokes aside, I think now it's time to settle in and hopefully just be able to get the best out of the season.
Yeah, I don't want to see Kimi win. So
run away with
wins, I feel crap.
So, I feel the same about George.
I want Oscar to get pole every week. But now it's not because I want Oscar to get pole. It's because I don't want Kimi to be on fucking pole. And I think watching this week, I just knew George wasn't going to get it. So when I saw Oscar get a purple, I was like, come on, baby. Just
so when you know that George hasn't got it, it's like, all right, default to Oscar.
Yeah.
I've always wanted, I would rather Oscar win. But up until
100%.
Recently, I've been assuming that they didn't have the speed of a Mercedes. Yeah. But then this weekend when I saw he had the purple and he was the last of the 3 to come through.
Yeah, he was crushing it.
He's just such a good driver. Last segment. So I think he has the potential to be one of the most exciting championship drivers. He's just not have the chances he yet. Be really interesting to see where the standings would be if we'd had the other races.
That's true as well. We're always going to be wondering.
Yeah, it's like an asterisk on the season.
I think it's I think it's exciting because it's good surprises. It's not bad surprises, and that's always better than same results every week.
Yeah, I'm still excited for the season to have because I feel like it's been very stop-go.
It's been 2 stop-start.
There's no momentum. And the fact that we're having a week off. It's so annoying.
And again, we've got another,
another 3 weeks off
this week. How hard is it? Just go,
fuck the war.
Is that still going? I haven't heard a peep out of that.
Anything more. Petrol prices have gone down. All right, well, let's talk 6th spot and shift our attention to Ferrari. Yeah, they arrived in Miami, I think, with what can only be high hopes of taking the fight to Merc. And obviously there were plenty of positives, from, I believe, quite a hugely upgraded car. The Italian team were just left wanting. So Hamilton crossed the line 7th. In the actual race, but he was promoted to 6th after teammates Leclerc's penalty. So, if anybody caught the post-race interviews, old Lewis is back and not the old Lewis that we started to enjoy. Lewis's summary of the race.
It's down to Lewis.
A long race in no man's land, early contact, some damage, spent the rest of the afternoon managing my way around rather than racing. that down, flat, somewhat painful figure of Lewis has very quickly reappeared recently. The woe is me Lewis from 25 to 24, 23.
22.
Yeah. I know, but in wrapping up Ferrari, eventually limping home, he actually finished in 6th, but then after the race, he copped a 20-second penalty and ended up finishing 8th. So the steward said it was systematic, but Leclerc said he had no tyres left and he couldn't make the corners, and the 20-second penalty was
pretty shocking to watch how
it was awful. One corner after another, literally just chopped in half as he went through them. But whatever the truth, the result was a few position drop and a weekend that if you're at Ferrari, you probably want to file away quietly and move on quite quickly. Lads, look, we've spoken about the better looking Red Bull, the McLaren, but in comparison, Ferrari, seem to go the other way. They seem to be the only top 5 team to actually go backwards. If you had just a few things to say to the Tifosi to keep them hopeful, because I don't know if you're the man for that, but what are you guys saying?
I'd walk in and I'd say, you see this? This is peak
Listen
Ferrari.
to my song.
Put my song on the garage every week. You'll start winning some races, baby.
I don't think it's anything to worry about right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything to be worried about.
Showing signs of what their potential is. I mean, I didn't come out of the race going, geez, Ferrari, terrible. Like, I quite enjoyed seeing them go. I wasn't expecting them to do better than they did. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if Charles didn't spin or, if clearly the McLaren was just pretty rapid on the weekend, so I think his battle was never going to be for 3rd, but I think he would have been happy with 4th had he have not pushed himself and ended up with that damage. But just on a side note, so both Verstappen and Leclerc got their time penalties after the race, so I can kind of understand Leclerc's because it was the end of the race, and so there's not a huge point in saying, right, you're going to serve your penalty right now with half a lap to go. But Max got a 5-second penalty for cutting the pit lane like by the smallest of margins. And I think it was like fucking early, right? Like safety
it was lap
car
7
time,
or
lap
something.
7.
Yeah. I read into this.
Well, okay. So why wasn't the penalty handed to Max immediately? Why do some penalties go to the stewards after a race and some are handed out immediate? And why wouldn't they be immediate? Because it has massive ramifications.
So it seems to be a case where like penalties get put into 2 categories of when they're going to give them and when they're not. And it all comes down to what access the stewards have to being able to get the clearest footage to be able to see what's actually been going on. Some are a bit more cut and dry, but according to the drivers is that they, for this season, was that if the stewards aren't sure, then they wait and make sure that the penalties are
don't
legit.
Just hand out something.
Yeah. So what I was reading up on, because it was, I think, Julian Palmer or the American IndyCar driver who were narrating at the time this happened, and they brought up the same going, why didn't they just give it to him? Why are they waiting? And from my understanding is that the stewards did not have a clear enough footage because they're only getting the live footage like we do. Yeah. And then they have access after the race to the higher fidelity footage. And then that's when they made
well, they have
but they
stationary
do have
cameras.
Yes, but not all of them are always in the right spot to give them the clearest footage of what they were looking for in this regards is where is that tire on that white line.
Yeah. All right. Pretty fucking wild that a multi-billion-dollar sport doesn't have the right cameras to make immediate decisions. Like I
think
find
it's
that
the right
really...
live cameras. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. All right. Ev, anything to add to that, or is that all in line with your understanding?
That is not in line with my understanding.
Were they good?
Because they do have stationary cameras because the television cameras aren't at the right angle. It's the same with VAR in football. Your television camera isn't actually in line with, it's always at an angle to the play. So even though someone might look off onside from when it goes to square on, you can tell. So they do have those
football analogy again.
Yeah, they do have stationary cameras explicitly for this job, which they use all the time. So all of those ones where they're saying track limits, Kimmy, you've got 2 strikes. That's the same
based
camera
on the
system.
Station. Yeah.
Based on the stationary cameras. So and the pit lane is meticulously protected. Yeah, looked over. So there doesn't, I believe that's the argument that they may have tried to sell.
What I've read.
Yeah. But that's very much not real. That
it's
is
just making
very
me
much
think
not
of
the case.
The Departed, where they try and do the sting on Jack Nicholson, and there's a blind spot. Why do I have a blind spot on my camera? It's like, who the fuck is in charge of this? Me. Who are you? I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy who doesn't.
That's so true.
That's what's happening in the airport.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of threats, complete accidental segue. In 7th spot was Franco Colapinto. And in what was comfortably his best weekend in F1.
Take that,
followed by a double points for Williams for the first time this year, with both Sainz and Albon coming in 9th and 10th, respectively. Now, gents, Colapinto's result it's not Alpine's highlight of the season. So Gasly has well and truly been the story of Alpine this year, consistently, and actually grabbed points in every race so far, bar
DJ
Miami.
Gasly.
But this is Franco's best. First serious points in that car, let alone in any car. He did pick up some points, I believe, for Williams, but it's definitely his highest finishing position, which makes what happened to his teammate even more brutal. So for those that missed it, Pierre Gasly, who has been my genuine surprise package to the point where I thought he was going to finish top 4 this weekend, had a collision with Lawson very early in the race. His car left the ground, landed upside down. Both drivers were okay, which at the time and watching it back feels like the thing that actually mattered most. But
nobody was worried about Liam Lawson being okay.
But the image of a Formula One car inverted in 2026, it's obviously pretty scary. It's a lot to take
rare.
in. But, gents, my question is not actually about Alpine, but rather Liam Lawson. It's come out that he had gearbox issues. He ended up retiring from the race, and the telemetry data apparently indicated that he had something to do with a gearbox issue or something. And anyways, that's why he was going faster in that corner and hence ended up clipping Gasly.
Well, he locked up.
I mean, it just looked like Gasly got ahead and he had to brake later than he thought, so he locked up. I mean, are they? Is this PR? Like,
well, I think
nobody's surprised.
I didn't actually have a problem with what Liam did. It didn't look like he had. Maybe
Gasly gave him a lot of room. Gasly gave him a lot of room.
I'm not saying that Gasly didn't. I'm saying because it was so late on the straight, that perhaps Liam thought he had more time to brake than he did.
Yeah,
and he's not a very good driver, so he couldn't handle it.
As you know, I'm a fan of Lawson. I actually really like him. But I saw something yesterday that made me laugh. Someone commented on an F1's video of the crash that, this is quotation marks, Lance Stroll skills with Max Verstappen ego equals Liam Lawson. I mean, is that a fair statement?
I like that.
I think that's unfair to laugh.
I would love to make that a T-shirt.
Isn't it? It's great, isn't it?
Lance Stroll skills, Max Verstappen ego, I'm Liam Lawson.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty fucking good. I feel for the guy. He cops a lot of heat. Lawson, and I to be honest, I reckon Drive to Survive's done him dirty. I reckon they pitched him up and made him look like this
especially
arrogant
during the
little...
Danny situation.
That's what I mean. Like, and like when he gave Perez the finger, like, you crop enough of anyone and you can tell a bad. I thought you'd love him, Diggs, as a fellow New Zealander. I thought you'd be all about him.
It's like being on holiday in Japan or Europe and you
see someone from the same country
and you're just like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Do you know in Australia, it's really high. Like,
that's everywhere in England. That is everywhere in London.
Everywhere. What it is, whenever I'm on holiday and I hear it's usually like a Kiwi,
you walk away,
an American. You're just like, we don't sound like that, do we?
No, we do.
Shockingly so.
Do you have a water? They're like, yeah, we speak English here, but
why are you yelling at me? Well, look, that's the race review, gents.
Where you go?
Yeah, it's probably actually. Let me do the right thing. Let's do Stroll Watch or Stroll Patrol for our live-serving fans. So, friend of the pod, Lance, he came in at 17th, which is actually second last.
Was that last? Wasn't that dead
second
last?
Second last. He actually got beat by Perez in the Cadillac, and it was Bottas that finished behind him. Bottas was officially last because there were the 4 DNFs. Obviously, we've spoken about Gasly, Hadjar, and Lawson, but Hulkenberg actually very unlucky in lap 1, and he was definitely on for points, I reckon. So,
did love Hulk.
There you go.
Had a gearbox issue, I think.
Yeah, he had issues all weekend.
I think his issue was the gearbox.
I think that, Anyways, look, it's time to revisit what a group of self-described idiots predicted would happen. So, by way of a reminder, we predict the winner, the rest of the podium, the biggest surprise / wild card of the weekend, plus the biggest disappointment, or less politely, less politely, the biggest loser of the weekend. And with that, for winner, granted, Diggs, you weren't here, but
He wouldn't have chosen him.
We all had different predictions. So
I was
had
worried
Oscar.
that he was. I would have done it out of spite not to pick him, but I was worried.
Yeah. Well, Ev had George, and Tay went against the grain. Jokes, obviously, because Antonelli's won the last couple of runs, but he actually chose Kimmy. So, Tay, you get the point for winner. So It felt like it was starting well. In terms of the rest of the podium, both Tay and I actually had George and Charles, which both wrong on those. Ev had Kimmy and Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
So Ev gets half a point there for getting Oscar in third. He's going to complain. He's going to tell me he got Kimmy. So why doesn't that count as a half
That's
point?
right.
Because he wasn't. Because he won, mate.
Because he wasn't. Yeah. But it's still a
You
podium.
don't say on the podium when you win. It's the podiums.
The biggest surprise.
Winning.
Wild card. So as mentioned at the top of the episode, I failed miserably with Gasly as a top 4. Tay too also failed miserably with Alonso in the top 8. And Ev, look, you said nothing would change. That was your biggest disappointment. And again, which for context for those listening was that none of these reg changes would actually mix anything up, and that nothing would actually change. But I think, yes, Merck did win again, but the reality is lots changed. You had a competitive McLaren duo. You had a resurgent Max Verstappen.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
They stay the same.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Welcome back to the pod.
I'm still giving you 0 points.
Yeah.
And lastly, for biggest disappointment, aside from our predictions, I tell you actually get another point here for predicting Lewis to finish outside of the top 5. Ev's response was similarly quite redundant. He said Aston Martin, for those wondering, which they've been a diabolical disappointment all year. And I deserve an uppercut because I predicted Antonelli wouldn't even finish in the top 10, which means that the three of us have collectively managed 2.5 points from a possible 15 across those.
My God.
However, we are the idiots of F1, after all, so we're bang on brand there. But gents, before we move on, is there anything you'd like to say for yourselves here? Digby, obviously, as an observer of this tribe, anything you want to add about how bad our predictions are?
I didn't hate a lot of those predictions. I think it was a very hard race to guess. And had any of those podiums happened, it wouldn't have felt like a surprise. I think the most predictable prediction was Lewis outside the top 5. So don't pat your back.
Yeah.
Don't pat yourself on the back.
And
Kimmy
put your head
winning.
in.
I mean, come on, mate.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I was going to say, we'll see predictions this week, but we don't even fucking get them. So.
We don't.
No,
you have
we
to
don't.
wait. You
Not
have to wait
this
for Canada. But look, whilst making predictions is about forecasting the future, one test of character that results in rather knowing the history is, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, the idiot's very own Haas You Being Paying Attention quiz. The quiz, mind you, that is taking over the F1 world. So here we are. The moment that Digby has been no doubt dreading since he walked in tonight. No more excuses, because he is here to compete. And I want to note, because it doesn't matter, that this is only the second time in Season 4 that all three of you are actually going to be playing at the same time, which either produces the best quiz we've ever had or a complete disaster.
Definitely had all 4 of us when I've been on the pod, by the way.
Maybe at the very
this
beginning.
is only the second time this year.
Yeah.
Is it? Well, who was missing when I was here last time? Tay.
Yeah. Did you not listen to the intro?
Didn't even know.
Yeah, he didn't.
No, I did, but I was like, that's incorrect because I've definitely done an episode with all 4 of us.
Yeah, that was the first episode.
No, I thought you said this was the first episode. I misheard you.
So look, the reality is this could be a
Aldi.
complete disaster, and based on past evidence, I know where I'm going to put my money. For those that are joining us fresh, here's how this works. So we've got 8 questions, 4 on Formula One and the Miami race weekend. You've got 4 on Miami culture, history, geography, whatever I can find. Questions 1 through 6. So whoever buzzes in first gets to take the answer. If they get it wrong, the other 2 obviously get a crack at it. So predominantly 1 point per question in the first 6. And then we get to 7 and 8, the danger zone. So same buzzing, except if you answer and you're wrong, you lose 2 points. You can obviously sit these out, but fortune favors the brave. And obviously the scoreboard has a way of changing very fast in the danger zone, because if you get it right, you get 2 points. So going into tonight, as I mentioned, Ev, you are leading on 5, Tay, you are on 2, and Digby, you are on 1. Gap is obviously closable. Whether it gets closed is an entirely different question. And with that, let's get your buzzers. Digby, I'm going to you first, because you haven't been here for a little while.
I do this.
What have you got?
I pick up on things at the start of the episode. I'm like, that'd be a funny buzzer. And we get to the fucking quiz, and I'm like,
and
I have no idea what it was.
Write it down.
So, with the pen in my hand. So
Choices.
Now I've got nothing entertaining. Let's just go with.
Are you not entertained? These are when the best ones come.
Don Johnson.
Don Johnson. Do you want to?
As in, like in Wedding Singer, when they're talking about Miami Vice, some guy in Coach who thinks he's Don Johnson just told me I was a grade A piece of meat. So I'm just saying
well
the
done
Don
and actually
Johnson
coming up with
bit.
something Miami related. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been
I'm
watching a lot
scared
of
to
Miami
who I go
Vice.
to
Good
next
TV
off
show.
that start. Fuck it. Tay, what have you got?
Because right now my hair is out of control. I feel like I'm Marv from Home Alone. So my buzzer.
You should have put an iron print on your face.
When he's getting electrocuted.
I knew that. I love that Digby knew what you were talking about.
He knew where I was going with it.
I can totally see your hair. I get it. Oh my God. For those that are listening, please fucking get on YouTube or the Spotify
fucking hair is out of
video.
control. That's how I did my fucking neck as well.
What?
I wasn't
the
allowed to
Harry
wear
thing,
electrocuting
shake the
yourself.
ball
Well,
thing.
that's
The
not
ball
helping.
thing.
No, doing my hair.
Hey, Shan,
What
look
do
at
you
my
mean?
buzzer for tonight.
I had to
My
fucking.
neck.
I wasn't
What
allowed
do
to
you
wear
mean
a
you were
hat.
Doing
I wasn't
your
allowed to
hair?
wear. I wasn't allowed to wear a hat to brunch on Saturday. And
So you're just putting hair gel in. You pulled a
Hair
muscle
gel.
putting hair gel in. Fuck.
Muscle.
Fucking hell. And that's out there for everyone. That ain't getting edited out.
It's so fucking
while,
embarrassing.
While Tay giggles himself to oblivion, what have you got, mate? Save
In
him.
honor of a meme I really like.
Harry.
George Washington, cartoon George Washington holding an AR-15 in both hands in front of an American flag. So my buzzer is, what the fuck is a kilometer?
It's a what?
What the fuck is a
what?
kilometer?
What the fuck is a
Oh,
kilometer?
what the fuck is a kilometer? Okay, God. I don't know how you guys are going to remember that. All right. You know the deal. You got to get your buzzers in. 8 questions, Miami edition, version 2. Let's go. Question 1, easy opener, and a question that connects rather neatly to what we've just reviewed. The Miami Grand Prix has now been on the F1 calendar for 5 seasons. In those 5 races, it has produced 4 different winners, but only one driver has won it twice. Who?
Don Johnson.
What you... It was
Max
good, Tay. I
Verstappen.
like it. What'd you say?
Max Verstappen.
Yeah, well done, Diggs. He's back. Boom, baby. Look, Ed's put his glasses on for this.
It's probably
He means
all I'll
business.
need to win this one. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
'Cause he
based on
can't.
the last time. Yeah.
What was it, me and Ev? We didn't get one
and Ed
point.
didn't answer one question and he won.
I feel like this is where the night's going.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, mind you, for those playing at home, you can jump onto our website and play this quiz right now. So, you know, before these guys tell you the wrong answers, you can actually have a go at trying to get them right.
Hang
Question
on, you've
number
already
2.
posted it, so I should have gone online.
No, it'll be
See
live
the
by
questions.
the time. Yeah,
In the
Tay's
future,
like, I'm gonna go on the
in the
website.
future,
before.
mate.
Hang on, we're not.
Question number 2.
Idiots.
Dear.
Still on Miami GP history, the 2024 Miami Grand Prix is remembered not for a team result or a record broken, but for what it meant to one driver personally. What happened at Miami in 2024? Thinking very hard.
Don Johnson.
What do you got, Diggs?
Did Norris get his first win?
Fucking well done.
Oh,
That is
right.
epic. That is epic, Digby. That is epic. What a great one. How did you
thought it was
know?
gonna
How
be
did you
someone
know
that
that
like their
hang on,
first
hang
child
on.
or something?
it was
then,
Norris's
how did-
first ever win?
Yeah, no. I was just thinking
'Cause
that,
I
but I'm just
remember
doing
it
this. How many races have we had at Miami?
5?
Five.
I just said it in the previous question.
So,
Oh my God.
so
Yeah.
to
Not
answer
even
your question,
paying
Ollie, if you had asked me
Nobody
where was Norris's first win, I'd be like, I have no
No
idea. And
Yeah.
then you said this must be important for someone who's like that. I remember Norris not getting a win for ages. I was like, Miami feels like
Listen,
that was he's won one.
You
and
can
that
you can
was-
defend this all you want. If we asked you to rotate your camera, you are going to have laminated photos of Lando Norris all over that wall. Don't pretend you are the closet Lando fan. It's like
Yeah.
you pretend you hate him. Question number 3. In 5 years of the Miami Grand Prix, 9 different drivers have stood on the podium for a Grand Prix. Not all of them more than once. For a point, how many drivers have appeared on the Miami Grand Prix podium more than once across all 5 editions?
What the fuck is a kilometer?
Okay, here you go.
Charles Leclerc.
It's us.
Yes.
How many, dipshit?
Oh, true. Yeah, and you can name him. He's going through it one by one. He's going.
Yeah, jeez. Max has been on it more than once.
Don't
Correct.
say yes or no. Just
There you
you
go.
just say
there you go.
Or say the
I don't know
name.
what's the problem, Digby.
No, because I'll tell him when he's
Oscar?
wrong. And huh?
Oscar?
Correct. Oscar has won. He's been on the podium more than once.
I don't confirm though. He's got to give us a number.
No,
This
but it's
is
good.
run out of time.
Oh,
George
I
Russell.
It's
see.
a number. It's a
George
numbered
Russell.
answer, mate.
George
It's George
Russell.
Russell.
So how many?
Well, the numbers if you add up all the ones that I've gotten right, it's that many.
How many? To be fair, Digby, you should have 4. So the answer is 4, but Russell is not one of them. So Diggs, if you had a, that wasn't the point. I would have said you were wrong.
I know.
There you go. But then, suck it, Digby.
Look,
hey man.
Unfortunately, Ev gets that. However, that was a double-barreled question. So there is another opportunity here for. Nah, it's a 2-pointer.
Look at his face. Oh,
for the bonus question, which driver or drivers have appeared on the podium just once?
Tom Johnson, George Russell.
Are you gonna tell me
how many
George
drivers?
Russell? No, he's right.
I thought it was.
No.
Just
buying time.
I thought it was just one driver.
Digby's right. No. There's multiple.
Okay,
I have realised I fucked this question so bad, and none of you have picked up on it yet. But are you saying 1, Diggs? Is your answer 1?
Well, sure. I thought the question was which one driver. So yes, 1.
No. Which driver or drivers? Tay, you gonna have a stab at that? No, well, you're wrong anyway. It wasn't 1. So Tay's not. So just so you know, I started that question and said in the 5 years of the Miami Grand Prix, 9 different drivers have stood on a podium. My first question was, how many have more than 1 podium, of which the answer is 4.
You're welcome.
Which means 4 minus... Yeah, I didn't realise I did that. But 5 and no one picked up.
I said it. So 3,
So
1.
just so you had Carlos, he's got 1. Sergio Perez has got 1. Alonso has 1. He got.
I did remember Alonso, but I thought I was making that up in my head.
Nah, he got that in 2023. George has 1, and obviously Antonelli after this weekend. There you go. So what do we got? You got Diggs on 2, Ev on 1. Question number 4. Kimi Antonelli dedicated Sunday's win to Alex Zanardi, one of the most remarkable figures in the history of motorsport. Zanardi raced in Formula 1, moved to kart, which I think is IndyCar, maybe, or similar, I don't know. And in 2001, he suffered a catastrophic accident that resulted in both of his legs actually being amputated above the knee. He didn't retire, he didn't step back, he went on to compete at the highest level in an entirely different sport. For the point, what sport did Zanardi go on to play?
Wheelchair basketball.
No,
that was my joke because Tay called in first.
Yeah, I know Tay called in first. Tay, what do you got?
I'm going to say wheelchair basketball just because of your face.
No, I should have just known.
I was just going to say the Paralympics. I was just going to say the Paralympics.
Can you give me a sport? I'll give you half a point for that, but can you give me a sport? And it wasn't wheelchair basketball.
Yeah.
Or wheelchair rugby.
Well, it was summer, I'm assuming. Was it like track and field, like one of the...
You can't ask questions.
That's... Yeah. Good point, Dick.
I'd like...
Just take a stab. Give me... one of the
wheelchair 100 meters.
No. Wrong. Sprint race. Yeah. So it was hand cycling. Paracycling.
Yeah.
So he took up hand cycling as part of his rehab, and he actually went on to be one of the most decorated Paralympians Italy's ever produced.
Awesome.
He won multiple gold medals at London, Rio, and Tokyo, and unfortunately passed away just recently. All right, that is F1's half of tonight's quiz done. We're now going to move on to the Miami itself. So we've got Diggs on 2, Ev on 1, and Tay on half. So question number 5. Miami is known as the gateway to Latin America and has one of the highest concentrations of Hispanic and Latino residents of any major city in the US. Multiple choice, what percentage of Miami-Dade County's population identifies as Hispanic or Latino? A, 38%, B, 48%, C, 58%, or D, 68%. What do you got, Tay?
I'm going to say C.
Wrong.
Don Johnson.
Diggs.
D.
Well done. Jesus,
it was the
Diggs.
largest one.
Yeah.
So, I thought you were going to go D, and I was going to go C.
It was between C and D. I thought maybe it's like more 58 and 68.
C felt like the answer to go for.
So it's one of the most culturally distinct metro areas in the entire country. And for context, LA, which most people think of as the most Latin-influenced major American city, is actually only around 48%. So there you go. We've got Diggs on 3. Still anybody's quiz here. Question number 6. The Florida Everglades begin essentially where Miami ends. The western edge of the city bleeds directly into one of the most unique ecosystems on the planet. The Everglades is the only place on Earth where 2 apex predator species from entirely different families naturally coexist in the same habitat. Name both species.
Harry Potter!
What do you got, Tay? He's gone early.
Alligator, and I'm assuming it's probably like a python.
They're not apex predators, but one of them is right. Go Gators!
Gator's surely the correct one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of what the other one is.
Can I have another stab?
No. No. Ev, Diggs?
Man.
I was literally going to say human.
Fuckhead.
Women.
The hardest target.
Diggs, you bowing out? This is a good one.
Yeah.
This is great trivia.
I don't know what the other one is.
So, Tay, I'm going to give you half a point for alligator. The other one
Puts you
is
up to
crocodile. So,
Really?
alligators are freshwater animals. Crocodiles obviously
I
prefer
didn't think
saltwater
crocs
and
were in
brackish
there. I
environments.
thought it was
But the
just
Everglades, with its unique mix of freshwater, marshes, and coastal mangroves, actually provides both, making it the only place on the planet where these two species share the same territory.
I had no idea crocs were there.
There you go. Question number 7, and we are in the danger zone. We've got Diggs on 3, Tay and Ev on 1. Question, so you know the deal here, guys. You've got to buzz in, right answer gets 2 points. Get it wrong, you lose 2 points. So Diggs, this is going to be interesting for you. You either go for it, and you could put it out. In fact, you win if you get this question right.
That's true, I do.
This feels like a Digby question.
Good, it's music related.
Miami Vice, one of the most iconic television shows ever made, ran from 1984 to 1989 and essentially invented Miami's global image, so the pastels, the cigarette boats, the whole thing. The pilot episode featured a specific song playing over the opening montage.
John,
what do you got?
Over the opening montage or the...
Over the opening montage that is now considered one of the most memorable TV moments of the decade. Hearing it even today puts you immediately on a boat at sunset in 1985. What is...
Okay, so there's a lot of mixed
now,
messages.
I can give you the multiple choices. Do you want me to continue?
No, because hold on. But no, the confusing thing is that you've said it's a montage at the start of the movie. Sorry, start of the episode. But the boat thing, you used a lot of things. There's a very specific scene that you're talking about. No, it's not. But I'm going to take this guess because I have to. And there's the only very iconic part I can think of is Phil Collins.
Whoa! Yeah! In the air tonight.
This is in the air tonight. And this is why you fucking.
So there's a scene. It's the pilot. It's the pilot part 2.
That's right.
If you guys have not watched the pilot,
I'm not going to watch
you
it
to go
either.
and watch this.
I'll wait for the remake.
It's such a great scene.
It is fantastic. Like it is a movie quality TV double episode. It's really good.
Right,
I had no idea.
You won.
I
well
watched
done.
it.
Box for
And that scene is great. But like, there's so many great
It's amazing.
shots.
It's amazing. I'm going to find a way to rip it.
Cinematography is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is, and it's
Fucking
regarded
win,
for its
bitches.
cinematography. Yeah, well done, Diggs. Huge win. Not to segue too much, but the newest Miami Vice movie with Jamie Foxx, who, by the way, was there on the weekend.
Newest.
And, because they're making a TV series.
It's a true statement.
They're redoing the TV series, but the movie with Colin Farrell. Actually, Colin Farrell was also there at the race.
Yeah, he was there.
But on that soundtrack, they have like a new age version of In the Air Tonight. And I never knew why it was on there until I did this quiz. And now I know it's because
they've got
the original was
so many great.
iconic.
Some of the cheaper episodes look a bit like a crap TV show, but the ones with the budget, geez, they film some of the shots they get are so good,
great.
and the music's
Proper
really cool, and the
cameras
fashion's
too.
really good.
Hey,
it's
final
for a TV
question.
show,
I do
it's
want to Digby's one. So Tay, your lead over him didn't last long. It's 5-2-2. Just out of curiosity, would any of you have got this last question? So question 8 was one of the most iconic films ever set in Miami is Scarface, the 1983 Al Pacino classic. In the film's climatic final scene, Tony Montana delivers the line that has been quoted in every language on earth, "Say hello to my little friend," before opening fire. The little friend refers to a specific weapon. Most people assume they know what it is, and most people are wrong. What was he actually firing? And the options were an AK-47, an Uzi, an M116 with a grenade launcher, or a...
Yeah,
oh, you guys...
one. Yeah,
wow, you actually knew that.
with the grenade. Yeah.
I didn't realize until I rewatched it today that there is a fucking grenade launcher on the bottom of it. How did you guys know that so
That's what he's
emphatically?
talking about.
Because he's exploding people with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't.
That was his little friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Hello to my little friend.
Right, there you go. Well done, Diggs.
That would have been down to
massive.
the wire, Ev, between you and
That
me.
is Haas. You've been
I
paying
wouldn't have known
attention.
that. I thought it was a shotgun.
No.
Yeah.
I should have put that one first before the music one. I wasn't expecting Diggs to get to such a lead, but huge win to Diggs. Another Hush you've been paying attention for another episode. And following on from our Miami chaos, it's time for What's Verstappenin, the part of the show where we take a brief detour from the racetrack and we spend our closing minutes diving into what's happening elsewhere in Formula One. So today we've got 4 stories, same old rules here. You've got 30 seconds each to give your thoughts or as filtered opinion as possible. Topic number 1, Messi, Fallon, Farrell and more. So Miami is a cesspool of celebrities desperate for more media validation. This weekend saw many, including Jamie Foxx, Jimmy Fallon, DJ Khaled, Lionel Messi, Hailey Bieber, Ja Rule was even there, and apparently Ivanka Trump. If you could meet
not Kevin
any
Spacey.
If you could meet any celebrity, so this time Ev, not avoid any celebrity, if you could meet any celebrity in an F1 race, who would it be and why? Diggs, you won the quiz. You start, buddy.
So not out of the ones you just said, because
No. I don't think any of them fall into your.
I'd love to meet
Hailey
Bieber and just be like, what exactly would you say you
is
do?
wrong with Justin?
No,
what would you do?
What would you
do here?
You actually
what would you say you do here? Well, I work with people. I'm a people.
Yeah.
Geez, that is a tough one. Let's go current celebrities.
Let's do that. Someone you like.
I think I would like to meet Dua Lipa.
Oh, okay. Does Nat that?
She certainly does.
She's the whole pass, is she?
Tay, who would you like to meet?
Denzel Washington or Morgan Freeman?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Sidney Poitier.
Why not?
What does that even matter? It's got nothing to do with that.
Mr. Sidney Poitier.
That was a wonderful, wonderful scene out of The Office. Okay, Tay, why? Just because you love either?
Well, Denzel Washington is an amazing actor, and
he's
so
a cool
is
dude too.
And Morgan is just because of his voice.
Is he your whole pass? Is he?
Yeah,
he's my whole pass. Yeah, he's my whole pass.
All right, before this completely unravels, Ev. Actually, I shouldn't have gone to you if I didn't want it to unravel.
Bradford.
I know. I don't know what I'd say, but someone like Rafa Nadal or Federer.
Well, he was there. I was there. Yeah.
I mean,
they both were.
Yep.
I think.
Actually, Nadal was waving the checkered flag, which I think it was Digby alluded. Somebody made me realise this year that there's somebody up higher
the official
waving
flag.
the flag.
Yeah,
Somebody
that's probably
they're just the towel guys. That's a good one, Ev. They would be wonderful to meet. Okay, all right, cool. Topic number 2, a bit more serious. Bottas's "If I Die, I Die" claim. So Valtteri Bottas, who started his 250th Grand Prix on the weekend just gone. He, by the way, published a very personal essay this week. It's not what you expect. He talks about his first full season at Williams. The team told him to lose 5 kilos ahead of the season. Apparently his brain heard that and thought, why would I stop at 5? So this is back in his first season of F1. He started starving himself.
Yeah, he's had eating disorders, and
he had an eating. He's come out and admitted, and
as a child he had it, and he's always struggled.
He would wake up at 4 a.m. and he said his heart would be hammering out of his chest. He was dizzy. He was emotionally detached, but kept telling himself that he'd never felt better. His words were, "I was like a drug addict. I was completely delusional." He hid it from his team, his teammates, his family, because again, in his words, in the paddock, you can't show any weakness. Then Jules Bianchi's accident at Suzuka, and something inside Valtteri apparently just switched off. He wrote, "I didn't find joy in anything anymore. I said, if I die, I die." He eventually saw a psychologist. He slowly rebuilt, but obviously since been very revealing about his mental health challenges. Gents, would there be many sports as physically and mentally grueling as the F1? And how critical is it for elite athletes to talk about their struggles? Diggs, you.
I don't think it's necessary to, like, it's lovely that he's told us this and now we know, and it's a horrible thing that he had to go through. I think it's less important for them to like express it publicly. I think it's more important for them to express it with, academies and programs for any sport.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's really like, I've been lucky that every sport I've played on whatever level, we've always had a good training system or a good fitness coach. I've just absolutely luck. So you never know what other people are experiencing, because there's definitely terrible people out there giving just the worst advice, which you can see on the internet whenever you feel like it. Just jump onto TikTok. There's just so much bad advice. And one thing I learned growing up is that I was lucky because I was able to take what I'd learned, and it seems so simple. And then you see how other people just pick up on ideas. And if you've got no direction and someone goes, lose 5 kilos, you go, well, I guess I'll just stop eating. Well, this worked quick. I'll just keep doing that, because if I eat, I'll go back to what I was. And so if you're not quite sure, I think it's great that he said that, but I think it's more important to have that conversation for the young kids with someone more direct, someone more personal.
Which he might be doing too. Knowing someone like that.
I'm not saying him. I just mean in general. I think it's important for sport to have that. Definitely, it must be one of the most grueling ones, because you always see when they have those intersport competitions, the race drivers always smash it.
So fit, yeah.
What I find interesting is he probably had all that support around him, and obviously he chose not to divulge and talk about that sort of stuff. But I don't see it necessarily being a massive problem with him being public about it because, a lot of young aspiring drivers who are karting.
But even non-aspiring
won't be
drivers,
around
right?
that.
Like, why do you have to be an aspiring driver
for sure.
to hear?
But for anybody who might be going through anything like that in whatever they're doing or whatever they're, I think it's great that they can see someone who isn't in such a highly public but also very intense sport.
High performance environment.
High performance, yeah.
It's almost disappointing to know that someone can be in such one of the greatest sports in the world, which is so finely tuned, to still the fact
struggle?
that it's impossible to be in that position, to be put in a position where you don't have that guidance or support to do the right thing or to do it properly.
I think it just comes down to the fact that it doesn't matter how much support you have as an individual, you can still go through things and you can still,
I'm not saying
and
you
not
can't. I'm just saying you tend to do that when you're not given the right
when you don't have the right
guidance,
tools, or you don't have the education.
If I don't know, if I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, I'll easily do the wrong thing, and then you get thrown into these.
Yeah. But maybe I guess that's maybe his point.
Still happen.
Where was he after Mercedes? Yeah. Did he go anywhere between Mercedes and
he went to Sauber, didn't he?
It was
at Alfa Romeo.
Kick or whatever.
Yeah, I think when he was at
they're called.
Alpha, it was maybe the first year, and Ted saw him on the before the race, and he had his jumpsuit on, and for whatever reason, Ted said, "Oh, you look really good." Whether or not it was a new outfit, like the jumpsuit was a new outfit or whatever, and Valtteri said something, I can't remember what it was, but Ted was mortified because whatever Valtteri said, it was in effect, well, I've had an eating disorder since childhood, and you saying I look good triggers a part of my brain. God. And Ted was like, that is not what I meant. I wasn't judging you.
Yeah. I wasn't referring to your weight.
And it was obviously horrifying.
Wow.
And it
you just never
really,
know.
It was before Valtteri began this kind of all that cycling he does and moving to
the
Adelaide
new way of life in Australia.
Yeah. So obviously he's been
new wife,
and Ted was like he only found out about it afterwards, and so this was before the book got released. So it was it's just imagine, and
he's
this
a cool
poor guy,
he's a lovely guy too.
He seems like a really lovely
Lesson
guy.
is never tell anyone they look good or have you lost weight, because honestly, growing up, I was always so terrified to say to anyone, "Have you lost weight?" Because I was worried that I was implying that they had in fact been fat or
100%.
Yeah.
But anytime I have said it, it's been like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." I'm like, I'm so confused.
Why the fuck are you saying that you're okay to say it?
Well, I got the double barrel of it a couple of weeks ago. Somebody goes, "Have you lost?"
He was like, "When are you due?"
No. They said, "Oh, have you lost some weight?" I said, "Oh yeah. I've been trying to get back into doing a bit of exercise." She's like, and the woman was like, "Oh, that's good. I thought maybe it was because you were sick." It's like,
fuck me.
I was like. Yeah, you could have just left it as like, "Oh, you look like you've lost weight."
Have you been in hospital for 3 weeks? You look fantastic.
You look very gaunt.
It's basically Russian roulette. It's like there's 5 maybe possible options why this person is looking skinny. Either they've got an eating disorder,
are you on Ozempic?
They've genuinely tried to lose weight and they have,
or they've got cancer.
Oh wow, Olivia Wilde, you look amazing.
Or they've been taking a photo with a fish lens camera. Hey, look, let's move.
Funny that no one else got taken with a fish lens camera by the same.
I know, weird. Alonso ain't fucking leaving. So cue the scene from Wolf of Wall Street. Fernando Alonso, 44 years old. Currently driving for Aston Martin, which, if we're being honest, is a car that has spent this season oscillating between bad and invisible. And yet, reports this week confirm that he wants a 27 contract for Aston Martin. He wants to be there for when the car comes good. He wants another crack. He is not done. The man has 2 world championships, 32 race wins, of which actually his last was in 2013. And enough F1 lore to fill a library. Boys, he could retire tomorrow to universal standing ovations and a statue somewhere. He doesn't want to do it. Do you think Alonso should keep going, or is it time to blood some new blood?
Keep him. I mean, if anyone needs to go, it's his teammate. He's at least been on the podium in the recent years. Anyway, I think he's really fun. I love watching him. I love comparing him to other drivers too. It's like a really nice gold standard to have as an older driver who can still compete. So yeah, I like him. I like having him around.
Is he competing though?
Not more so than Cadillac.
But to be fair, when he's got a car, like again we joked about before, but Alonso came 3rd at Miami 2 years ago.
He was like 2 years ago. He was on the podium. So why not?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Tay, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's willing to race and still feels competitive enough, why not let him? Or why not let him? Why not keep going?
44 is old though, eh? And I say that knowing that, some of us are in and around getting closer to that.
I think we're all getting to that point now where we're like, fucking hell, where were our folks when they were this age and what were they doing? And sort of you start making those comparisons. But I think the 40 now is very different than the 40 30
There would be
finding out the Golden
drivers.
Girls were in their mid-30s when they filmed that.
yeah.
That is
There would
not
be drivers on. There are drivers
the
on
oldest
that
one
grid.
was 60.
There are
the
drivers on that
frail-looking
grid that
one.
wouldn't have been born when Alonso started driving.
Yeah, 100%.
Antonelli is one.
Kimi.
He couldn't have been born when.
I'm pretty sure Piastri's there. Yeah.
Ev, I know you're a fan of the golden oldies. Yeah, your thoughts? Is it? I mean, why if you're Aston Martin, why are you giving him another contract when you could be blooding new, fresh talent, and particularly for fucking $20 million?
First of all, you need to have someone like an old, experienced guy to tell you.
But Lance's experience, he's had a lot of Grand Prix.
But he's not by all accounts, very poor at communicating. So if the car doesn't feel right, you can't just say, it feels shit. You have to be really hyper-specific because you're talking to engineers, and engineers only understand science.
Specifics.
Yeah. What I thought I was thinking about this the other day, that Lewis said a couple of years ago about how drivers are getting out of the car and they're not even sweating. And it's like, it's meant to be like an incredibly challenging feat to even do a race.
And if you saw Kimi this weekend, that is definitely not the case.
Yeah, he was melted.
Yeah, that's true. But if that's a rarity in the season, or if you're in Miami, it's quite humid maybe. My point being, if Fernando's getting out of the car and he's not really sweating, then why do we think that it's a bit like goalkeepers? I don't know if you know this, but you could talk about football. Goalkeepers go for like a lot longer than regular players because they're not doing as much physically.
Yeah. So you're calling Alonso the goalkeeper of F1?
Yeah. No, but it's more like it's changing. It's changing now that
or is he the
we can go older. You clearly don't need the physicality to do this job.
I mean, hold on. LeBron is 41 this year.
Yeah.
He's still smashing it. So
he's smashing it.
Smashing it.
Yeah. I wonder how much is that to do what you were talking about earlier about the fact that drivers these days, they're high performance, sports science, sport nutrition.
So much better.
It's all so much better. It's like, humans are apparently living longer and athletes are getting older, and can still be at their elite level game. All right. Hey, look, last one. Let's really race through this one. I mentioned early, Alex Zanardi, he's passed away on Thursday. If you don't know who Alex is, and look, there's no shame. This is the Idiots of F1. We welcome all levels of knowledge. I'm pretty sure 75% of us of this podcast had never heard of him until the weekend.
I just heard of him then.
There you go. But look, here's the short version. So he's an Italian racing driver, as I mentioned in the was it the quiz? Yeah, he lost both his legs in a horrific crash.
I thought it was two people, Alex and Artie, like Anthony.
Yeah, there you go. He came back. He won Paralympic gold medals in hand cycling.
Like Argentina Turner.
He had a catastrophic accident on his handbike in 2020. He never fully recovered. He was, by any measure, one of the most remarkable humans, and there was a big tribute to him. And Antonelli, actually, who won the race, obviously, on Sunday, dedicated that win to him. If you guys could choose any driver from the past to compete in today's F1, who would you actually take and why?
I feel like we might all be in the same.
It might be
saying the same person.
Is this a LeBron Kobe moment? I feel like it. I
was going to say
to see who the real GOAT is. Get Schumacher to race against Hamilton.
Oh no, I want Senna.
And Senna. Yeah, I was just going.
I was
going the Senna. I was doing the Senna route too.
Before while I think about it. I was just thinking about the Mercedes garage before the race starts. George is standing at his, looking at a photo of, what's his name again? Oh. The guy who died.
Alex Zanardi. Zanardi.
Yeah. And he's looking at, it's like a
this
shooting
one's for you,
Happy Gilmore moment. He's looking at Kimi. He's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dedicate my race to that, Alex. To hell you are. I'm racing for Alex.
That's so
Grandma.
fucked.
Yeah, Grammy.
So
Is it
fucked.
Grammy? Is that how we call it? Grandma?
Hi, Grandma.
That's brilliant. That's very good.
That's so
Tay,
fucked.
obviously you've said Senna there, and then you rattled off a whole bunch of others while we're talking.
Yeah, I think any of the Hunt, Prost,
classics, yeah.
Senna,
Or,
it'd be amazing.
Nicky Lauda.
Yeah, Nicky Lauda.
I
Nicky
mean,
Lauda.
fuck, Eddie Jordan.
Yep.
My God, there's so many.
Tay's just trying to rattle. He goes, I know F1 history. Let me give you some names.
I'd like
I know
to,
F1.
like, if you could snap your fingers and bring someone, I'd want to bring Sterling Moss. And so he's just like smoking in the pit lane. And then he sees a flat screen TV and it just blows his mind.
That would be amazing.
Aliens
Green
everywhere.
Hill.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, all that said and done, that's it. That's another episode in the can. Miami is done. It's filed away. As always, it was chaotic, probably occasionally wrong, and exactly how it should be. Boys, it was great to have you back. Any final words from you before we depart this show?
I wish there was a race this weekend.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Did anyone see Lewis flip off Calapinto?
Oh, why don't you bring
Did you
that up?
not see the footage? Oh, well,
No?
I was meaning to, but I never had it never felt like the appropriate time to do it.
Well, I even talked about Liam flipping off Sergio.
It was after the incident when he had that little crash with him, and he flipped him off.
I'm telling you, that's when you know something's wrong with Lewis. Yeah, when Lewis starts to show emotion like that, you're like,
it's very rare.
Yeah,
but I sent it in our chat, and I was just like,
I missed it.
God, now now he's going to get death threats.
Yeah, well, actually,
I'm pretty sure the Kardashian family can deal with that.
Did you see him asked about Coachella? Oh my God, he couldn't have avoided that question so quickly. Have any final words from you?
See you in 2 weeks.
Beautiful. So to that point, next week we got Canada and Montreal. So it's actually only round 5 of the 22-round season.
That's
This
crazy.
has been the weirdest kind of start.
Yeah.
Before we get there, obviously another few weeks breaks. We're going to be back to review it and get you all ready for it in 2 weeks. That's right. So we're going to be off next week, but we will be back the week after as we get back into the flow for F1 after what's been a very disruptive few weeks because of the 2 races cancelled. Lads, once we're actually out of Canada, we do then have a weekend off, but then we head to Europe for Monaco, Barca, Austria, Silverstone, Spa, Hungary, Netherlands, Italy, and Madrid. So lots and lots of F1
I can't wait for the Madrid one to see if they actually finish it.
If they finish the track. In the interim, don't miss a thing. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a review if you're feeling generous. Follow us across the socials. Get stuck into the quiz on the website. Tell a friend if you genuinely like us and tell an enemy if you don't. Big thank you to you 3 idiots. A big thank you to those new here and a bigger thank you to those returning. I'm Ollie. That's Tay, Ev, Diggs, and we have been your idiots of F1, and we will see you in Montreal. Bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.